Singing well is already a challenge. Playing the drums at a high level is too. Doing both at the same time is a skill that few musicians have successfully mastered. Today, we're going to meet artists who stood out precisely for this rare combination. 10 drummers who are also excellent vocalists. Brann Dailor. Born in Rochester, New York, Brann Dailor gained worldwide prominence as the virtuoso drummer for Mastodon, a band he helped expand the boundaries of modern progressive metal. Over time, Dailor also took on the role of vocalist, bringing a clean, melodic contrast to the group's dense and heavy sound. Although some fans of their early period prefer his performance focused solely behind the drums, he has proven capable of sustaining complex vocal lines without compromising the intensity and surgical fills of his rhythmic execution. Phil Collins. Originally from London, Phil Collins began his journey in Genesis, commanding the drumsticks, before permanently taking over the microphone after Peter Gabriel's departure. His work with the band and his blockbuster solo career turned him into one of the most popular and influential musicians of the 1980s. As a drummer-vocalist, he demonstrated a rare motor coordination and surgical precision. Critics, however, point out that his more commercial turn ended up softening the artistic boldness and complexity that marked Genesis's early years in progressive rock. Roger Taylor. Born in King's Lynn, England, Roger Taylor became known worldwide as the rhythmic engine of Queen. But his contribution went far beyond the drumsticks. His raspy, powerful voice secured the lead vocals on several of the band's tracks and shaped the group's iconic high-pitched harmonies. As a drummer, Taylor always favored energy, weight, and arena-sized impact over technical virtuosity. Although he released several solo works, they did not always achieve the same creative consistency or the dazzling brilliance he displayed within the dynamics of Queen. Keagy. A native of Glendale, California, Keagy became known as the drummer and one of the lead vocalists for Night Ranger. His emotional and striking voice immortalized mega hits like Sister Christian and Sing Me Away, tracks that helped shape the golden era of melodic hard rock and power ballads in the 1980s. Singing and playing simultaneously, often strategically positioned at the side of the stage to better interact with the audience, Keagy always maintained a flawless technical and vocal performance live. While he rarely tops lists of the decade's drum virtuosos, his vocal signature and steady groove were vital to the band's identity and commercial success. Baby, know you're growing up so fast. Sing me away, sing me away. Oh, I run all the way back home. Gil Moore. A Canadian from Toronto, Gil Moore was the driving force and co-founder of Triumph, sharing lead vocals and the spotlight with guitarist Rick Emmett. His straightforward, heavy, and efficient drumming perfectly served the arena rock compositions that marked the power trio's career. As a singer, Moore possessed a much more aggressive, visceral, and purely rock and roll approach than his bandmate, which created a dynamic and interesting contrast in the tracks. Although his style was less refined and melodic than Emmett's, his energetic delivery and stage presence made up for any technical disparity, defining the group's sonic identity and heavy edge. Be sure to check out the list of the top 20 rock drummers according to our audience. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. Click on the card appearing at the top of your screen. Subscribe to the channel to have your comments answered with priority by our team. And don't forget to turn on notifications to be alerted about new content before everyone else. Karen Carpenter. Born in New Haven, Connecticut, Karen Carpenter immortalized herself in the duo The Carpenters as one of the most melancholic, perfect, and recognizable voices in the history of popular music. What many overlook, however, is that she considered herself above all a drummer who sang. Possessing a surgical sense of time and refined technique, praised by jazz giants, Karen was gradually pushed away from the drums by the industry, which prioritized her image at the front of the stage. Even so, studio recordings and live performances reveal a complete and extraordinary musician whose talent as a drummer remains one of the most unfairly underrated in global pop.
Karen Carpenter, everybody. Thank you.
Levon Helm. Raised in Arkansas, Levon Helm was the soul and cornerstone of the band, serving as drummer, mandolinist, and the voice behind the group's most memorable interpretations, such as The Night They Drove Old Dixie Down. His rustic, deep voice carried the ancestry of rural American music, lending a cinematic and authentic weight to the song's narratives.
Soon a carnival on the air.
Tell me, look, my friend, what have I done to live? But you know deep down.
As a drummer, Helm favored feeling, dynamics, and an incomparable organic groove over empty technical displays. Although his approach was economical and entirely at the service of the song, it was precisely this millimeter precision and relaxed touch that sustained the machinery and genius of the ensemble.
And it's living out. Oh, baby, don't do it, do it. Don't you break my heart.
Don Henley.
On a dark desert highway.
A native of Texas, Don Henley was one of the founding pillars of the Eagles and established himself as one of the most emblematic and elegant voices in rock history. While commanding the drums with millimeter precision, Henley delivered immortal anthems that defined the identity of American music with impressive vocal confidence. His transition to a solo career in the 1980s was a resounding success, further expanding his legacy as a hit songwriter.
The devil himself, I've been searching for mirrors on the ceiling. The pink champagne on ice and she's.
Though frequently labeled by critics for his obsessive perfectionism and a certain artistic conservatism, Henley maintained a virtually flawless standard of technical excellence and melodic sophistication over the decades.
Between the dark and the light. One of these crazy, crazy, crazy nights.
Peter Rivera.
What can't you see what I'm going through?
Born in Detroit, Peter Rivera was the rhythmic engine and visceral voice of Rare Earth, a group that marked an era by fusing progressive rock, funk, and rhythm and blues. His powerful, groove-filled vocal delivery gave a unique personality to mega hits like Get Ready and I Just Want to Celebrate, turning the band into a singular phenomenon of enormous commercial success within the catalog of the legendary Motown label.
Hey, I said I like what I do, y'all. Race that teacher.
Playing with a heavy groove and singing simultaneously with contagious energy, Rivera commanded the group's shows with absolute mastery from behind the kit. Despite his absurd talent, his name today rarely receives the same historical recognition as other contemporaries from that golden age of rock.
I knew I was born. Well, I can't be bothered with sorrow, and I can't be bothered with hate, no, no.
Don Brewer.
40 days. Last night.
Originally from Flint, Michigan, Don Brewer gained worldwide prominence as the legendary drummer and one of the lead vocalists for Grand Funk Railroad, a true titan of 1970s American rock. Don not only drove the rhythm section with an overwhelming, groove-heavy feel, but also lent his powerful voice to great classics, being the songwriter and singer of the band's biggest anthem, We're an American Band. Although his style was far from the meticulousness of the progressive rock of the era, his drumming prioritized weight, raw energy, and millimeter precision, characteristics that became the foundation of the group's direct, honest, and massive sound.
We have reached the end of another journey through music history, exploring artists who took on one of the most difficult tasks on stage, singing and playing drums at the same time. Each of them found their own way to balance technique, musicality, and stage presence, leaving a major mark on their bands and musical styles. Now we want to know your opinion. Which drummer vocalist deserves to be in a part 2 of this list? Leave your suggestion in the comments because it might just appear in a future episode. If you liked the video, don't forget to leave a like, share it with other music fans, and subscribe to the channel. Also, make sure to turn on notifications so you don't miss any upcoming videos. Thank you so much for watching until the end, and see you soon.